Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas, and welcome to the fourth video in a series of game development tutorials on how to make your own first-person shooter game in Unity. This tutorial will be covering a gun that actually fires. Remember to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay up to date with every tutorial I upload. Feel free to leave a comment and drop a like. I also have a Patreon page where you can help be a part of this channel, and you'll find all the scripts and the assets to this series there too, along with plenty of other things. You can also now join as a free member. Now, on with the tutorial. So obviously, the most important thing about a first-person shooter is being able to shoot, use a gun. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to zoom in just here, click on Player Capsule, and we're going to import a gun. And we're going to be able to write a script that makes that gun go bang, bang, bang whenever we click our mouse button. So this tutorial is going to be all about importing, it's going to be about sound, it's going to be about coding. I don't want to drag it on for too long, so I'm going to get straight into it. Now, we need to start by importing a gun. So firstly, let's create a new folder. So right click, create folder, and we'll have this as objects. So anything that we would import into the game, like an object or well, anything at all, an asset, we could just put in this folder. So I'm going to go to this folder here, drag and drop handgun, and place it in this folder. And you can go to the linked comment, the pinned comment, and you can click the link in it, and you can download this gun for free. So let's go into this handgun, and you'll notice a couple of different objects. Most of these are not too important at the moment. However, this particular one that you can see the gun in, that is the one that's important. And at the bottom here, if you do have any red text or an error, you can just go to console and click on clear, because it doesn't matter. It's an irrelevant error. So let's drag and drop this handgun into our scene. And it looks huge, as you can see. If we double click, we can see it's a massive gun. We need to shrink that down so it's more appropriate to the size of our player. So let's change the scale to 0.1, 0.1, and 0.1. And let's see how that looks. Does it look too big still? I think so. But the key to finding out for sure is if we go to our player capsule and go to the camera root, let's drag and drop this gun onto the camera root. And over here in position, let's press 0, 0, 0. And that will put it dead center of our character. And if we click the game view, we shouldn't be able to see anything just yet. But do you remember the first tutorial when we moved some of these tabs around? Well, let's take this game tab and let's snap it over here. Have these both square. And we can move this gun around now, and we should see it appear on the other screen. You can see that's how it would look theoretically in our game. It might still be a bit too big, so I'm going to reduce it just a little bit more, 0.08, 0.08, 0.08. I think that looks a little bit more appropriate, maybe. Let's go to full-on game view and see what it looks like. So let's drag our game, snap it back up here, and I think that looks okay. We'll stick with that for now. Obviously, you can do different things to it if you would want to. Next thing, let's go to this text 009 material, click the arrow, and we can change things here. So the actual gun itself is very plain. There's nothing to it. It's just a grey kind of look. So what we could do is we could drag and drop this particular texture onto the gun. Now you can either do it here, like we did with materials in a previous tutorial, or you could just drag and drop it straight onto, for example, the hammer, and then mag, slide, trigger, and it would look a little bit like that. And I think that looks okay. It's entirely up to you, though, how you want it to look. Play around with some of these things, play around with the materials. We've done materials before. I'm not going to go into it again. It's entirely up to you. The next important thing that we want to do is import the sound of the gun. So let's create another folder. And let's have this as audio. And in here, let's create another folder called effects. Just F and X, short for effects, quite literally. And in this folder, I'm going to drag and drop the gunfire sound. Perfect. And it should look a little something like that. Now, the idea of what we need to do here is we need to add this sound to the game, otherwise we're not going to be able to play it. And the best way to do this is if we go to our player capsule and right click, you'll see you can do a lot of different things. But what we want to click on is create empty. And what that will do is it will create an empty game object inside the player. May seem a bit odd doing that. However, we can structure it like folders. So we can call this audio. And then on audio, right click, create empty. And then we'll say effects. And then on effects, once again, create empty and call this gun fire. And now drag and drop this gunfire onto the object we've just created. And over on the right, you'll see lots of different options. We don't need to worry too much about some of these options, but just to illustrate, let's press play now and we should hear the gun when it's had a bit of a think. Perfect. So we know that the gun sound does indeed work in Unity. If we were to loop it and press play, we would have the same sound over and over and over. It wouldn't stop. Cool. What we do need to do is untick loop and untick play on awake. The reason we untick play on awake is because we don't want the sound to play whenever we start the scene. So if we press play now, the sound will not occur. Excellent. We only want the sound to occur whenever we press our mouse button. How do we do that? Well, this is where the coding comes in. So let's start our first script. Let's create a new folder specifically for scripts. And in there, let's create another folder specifically for weapons. And in this weapons folder, let's right click once again, create a new script. And let's call this script handgun fire. And let's open that up. Now, it's important what we name our script at this point. The reason being is because a script name and a class name have to match, otherwise Unity will not like it and it'll get a little bit confused. Now, all of this here is jargon. It looks like nonsense if you're new to coding. However, I'm going to go into line by line and explain to you what it all means, because I would imagine most of you watching this far are probably new to Unity and would like to understand a little bit more about coding. So let's start with this very top line. It says using Unity Engine. What does this mean? This is known as a namespace, and you can think of it as a library. A script needs to know information from different places on how to do different things, and it can reference a namespace so it can fully understand what is going on. Further, we have public class handgun fire mono behavior. This is our class. This is where most of the scripting will take place. You'll notice the name handgun fire is indeed the same as the script that we created. This is where they do have to match. The class name has to match the script name. Next, we have some open curly brackets, and if we follow this line all the way down, you'll see closed curly brackets. These contain lines of code. So whenever you see an open curly bracket and a closed curly bracket, they should always link together because they are a container for something. For example, this is the container for all the script, the class. Next, we have this green line here. Now, this isn't a line of code. You can use a double slash and then type whatever you want. This is a note. It's called an annotation. You can put whatever you want, information, lines of code that you don't want to run anymore, things like that. Next, we have void start. Void start is known as a method, and we also have void update right here. These are methods. These are information pieces within the script that allow it to run certain sections. For example, the start method is run once as soon as the game starts, and that is indeed what this says up here. The update method is ran constantly, so it's always monitoring what is going on. At this point, we don't really need the start method. We are going to be using a script that will constantly be monitoring what we're doing. So this is how you know what method to use. Is whatever the script is supposed to do happening just once? Or is it happening multiple times? Or is it monitoring what the input or whatever is going on in the game? Well, like I said, it's going to monitor whenever we press the mouse button. So we can get rid of the annotations and the start method. So let's highlight those and press delete. Let's hit return and let's establish what we do need to do in this script. Well, we need to have at least one variable. What is a variable? A variable is an object. It can be a number. It can be text. It can be true or false, a bool. It can be almost anything at all. A variable is something the script will use to refer to something. So, for example, the actual variable we're going to use is going to be that sound effect that we imported because we want our script to be able to play that sound effect whenever we do something. So let's go serialize field in square brackets. And the reason we do this is because we want to be able to control what object this variable will be. There are different ways of creating a variable within scripts. You don't necessarily have to use serialized field. You could declare a variable and then set it in the script. However, we're going to set it in the Unity engine, which is why we're using serialized field. The object type is going to be game object, and it's a capital G and a capital O. Capitalization is vital when it comes to coding. For example, game object with a capital G and a capital O is different from game object with a lowercase g and a capital O. They are two different things within coding. You just need to keep in mind that capitalization is vital. And the good thing about when coding in Visual Studio like this, most of the time it will kind of predict what it thinks you're going to say or going to do, and it will highlight in grey what it thinks you should do. Hopefully, it will do this in its script, and I will show you a good example of it. So we've said we're doing a variable. It's going to be not a game object. It's going to be a audio source. The reason I showed you game object is just kind of illustrate that it can be different with capitalization. So audio source, capital A, capital S, and we'll have gun fire with a semicolon. Now I've used a lowercase g and an uppercase f to name that variable. So this is the name of our variable. And this is known as camel casing, when you start with the lowercase, then every subsequent word is uppercase. We've ended with a semicolon because when it comes to ending a line of code, most of the time to say this is the end, you will use a semicolon. Now, how do we make it so as we can detect when we're pressing the left mouse button to fire our weapon? We need to use an input, and this needs to be done inside an if statement. What is an if statement? An if statement is just a case of saying if something is true or false, then do this. So it's just a case of if statement do. That's how you can picture an if statement. So we can say if, and in brackets, input, and that needs to be a capital I on input, dot get mouse button, and it does need to be capital G, capital M, capital B. And if we look there, it'll see in grey that we have an open bracket, a 0, and 2 close brackets. That is exactly what we want to do with our script. So it's predicting what it thinks we're going to do. So what we'll do is press tab, and it will fill it in for us. So we're saying if get mouse button 0 is true, then we open curly brackets and hit return. So what is 0 exactly? What does that even mean? Well, when it comes to something like this, 0 refers to the left mouse button. And obviously you can get 1 and 2 for the different mouse buttons. You can customize these if you want. But 0 is always going to refer to the left mouse button. So what do we want to do if we do indeed press that left mouse button? Well, we want to be able to play that gunfire sound. So we can say gunfire dot play, open close bracket, and semicolon. And that's it. Our script is written. All we need to do is save. Now, if you do have any problems with this script, I know it's only a small one, and if you are new, you may have problems. Feel free to go to that pinned comment and you'll find the script there as well, along with the assets for free, and you can go and download it. So let's head back into Unity now. And if you have any errors, which hopefully you shouldn't, it will be displayed down here in red. But if not, perfect. So where do we attach this handgun fire script? Well, what we can do is we can create an object now that will allow us to control the globalization of this area. So let's go to game object and click on create empty. I'll call this global object. So everything when it comes to coding we can put on here and we can do various different things with it. So now let's just drag and drop this handgun fire onto there. And you'll notice over here that we have gunfire non-audio source. This is where we can define an actual variable in the engine itself rather than via scripting. Most people would find this the easiest thing to do, especially when it comes to brand new people in Unity. And what we need to do is we need to tell this script that the audio file is contained within this game object. So we can drag and drop that onto there. And now, if we press play, we should be able to walk around with our gun, and we should be able to press the left mouse button, and it should fire. Ready? Now. Fool. That is going to take us into the next tutorial. So if we do it, it will fire. However, there are multiple things that we need to do to make sure that this doesn't happen. What's happening here is a case of our mouse button is constantly being detected as being pressed down. We need to basically expand our script a little more and make it look like it is actually firing. So the next tutorial, we're going to create an animation for our gun and we're going to make it look like it is actually firing. And we're going to expand our script even more to prevent us from being able to fire so rapidly. So remember to subscribe, click the notification bell to stay up to date with every tutorial still to come in this series, and I'll see you in the next one.